We watched Auburn take care of business on the road at St. Louis now. That game just went final. Auburn ended up winning. It was 74-70. They came back from 13 points down in the second half. That's a really nice win against a good St. Louis program. I want to talk about a different team in the SEC. We have not discussed Kentucky long enough. Goodman, I'm going to go to you first since you're wearing the Big Blue Nation t-shirt. So yeah, I'm going to let you have this one first. You also got the Kentucky hat on behind you. Like, you're all in on UK right now.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I was all in, and then I kind of was like, oh man, like this team, they haven't beat anybody. They lose to Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame's just okay this year. So I was worried about them because I don't think, obviously we know their ceiling isn't as high as it's been in the past, but I thought their floor was a lot higher, and it didn't look that way early. I thought they'd get out of the gates well, and I didn't think they'd have a hiccup against Notre Dame, and they really didn't play a whole lot else. Ohio, with all due respect to Jeff Bowles and Ohio, you know, that's their probably best win before today. So I think this was huge for them. And they always do this, guys. They always kind of struggle early, but again, it's usually with freshmen. So you kind of have a reason. This year, I felt like they didn't have as much of a reason, but, and Randolph, you can speak to this. Like, you got a bunch of freshmen still, and you've got a bunch of transfers now, and a few holdovers that really didn't play huge roles in the past. I mean, Keon Brooks, you know, the one guy that probably did, but, you know, bringing in Severe Wheeler and Oscar and Kellen Grady. And they've got to figure out this system, which is different than playing at Davidson or West Virginia or Georgia. And then you throw in Ty, who I think has really not been nearly as assertive as I thought he would be. That's the biggest thing for me still. I want to see Ty being just a killer and going, and I think Cal does too.
I don't know if he's going to get the touches enough, though, to be that. I think it's so balanced, and so many guys are looking to score again. I just don't know if he's going to get the touches that we would like. I agree with you. I think he can flat out score it. And when he gets going, they're going to be that much better. I think he's going to be the guy that helps them going forward. But Rob, you talked about it earlier with Notre Dame. The difference is people are going to scheme them. People are going to scheme them. And I think that's the difference in the two, is that they're being schemed. And Notre Dame said, hey, you know what, Wheeler, I'm not guarding you on the three. You're going to have to shoot threes or I'm not guarding you. And then you take teams like today in Carolina, like, say what you want, he's a blur. Now, he's hard to stay in front of. And if you're going to get up on him, he's going to go by you.
Yeah, he's at his best when you get up and down like this. When you're playing like this.
He's going 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you're not going to beat him doing that unless you got a rim protector and you're speeding him up and he's making bad decisions. But if you're just going to sit there and let him get in the paint at will, Kentucky's going to be great. But if you back off and just say, hey, you shoot, and we're living with you beating us from three, then I think Kentucky will struggle. But he's getting in the paint at will. Finishing 12 or 15 today on layups. Like that's hard to do by yourself playing pickup.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about Kentucky is that they are built around right now getting the ball into Oscar Tshiebwe and letting the big fella work, right? Like, that's kind of what their MO is. But my issue with them is this whole concept was like, we're going to put shooters around the big fella this year. But I mean, you got Severe Wheeler out there who's a guy you can just not guard, right? You got Keon Brooks at the 4, who is not a shooter, right? He's someone that like loves these little mid-range pull-ups that are contested. I don't love the shot selection that he has. Ty has not been shooting the way that
but he can shoot. He can
shoot. He can score.
He can, but he hasn't been like that guy yet. Kellen Grady got it going a little bit tonight. Davion Mintz hasn't been shooting, but then like Damian Collins isn't a guy that you want really like kind of standing out there and shooting, and Bryce Hopkins isn't making shots. So it becomes something where you can kind of clog the lane on the big fella that you're trying to get the ball to and operate through, and it limits what Oscar Tshiebwe to do. Like, Oscar Tshiebwe is not Akeem Olajuwon, right? Oscar Tshiebwe is kind of, you get the ball, you got to find a way to get it to him 5 feet from the basket so he could just turn and shoot. He's kind of like a Zach. He's not Trevion Williams. He's kind of like a Zach Edey. And I'm just worried about whether or not they have enough shooting to be able to take advantage of that. Now, coaching can fix some of that stuff. We saw today with Purdue, right? Purdue, if you pressure them, you make them run their offense 40 feet away from the rim. It was difficult for them to do that against NC State and Rutgers. They kind of found something. They figured it out a little bit, getting the ball to Trevion Williams at the high post and letting him kind of run the point and run the offense. But then we saw it against Butler. Like, Butler can't pressure them the way those teams can, and they won by 30. They blew them out. So it's going to end up being kind of like a matchup by matchup thing, I think. with Kentucky, which is not necessarily where we expect this Kentucky team to be, but it just kind of is what it is with the way that this roster is built. Is that fair?
If they had another guy, that was the guy. And Oscar Tshiebwe could just be a guy that kind of cleans up the glass. He's already a monster rebounder of the basketball, right? But if they had another guy on that front line, another guy that can just draw attention and allow him to get a free run, I think that they would be better. But they just don't. He's the guy, and you're right. He's not, 10 points will be it, but a lot of that's off the glass, cleaning things up. He's not a guy you can just give the ball to and then clear out on the post.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten better, though. He's definitely gotten better in terms of being able to step out, at least keep him honest from the foul line. Like that'll help as he gets his confidence. But I'm with you. We saw it today, and Cal said it over and over. I love how at the halftime interview he said, we're doing it without our best player or something like that, as if his best player had COVID and couldn't play. No, your best player got in foul trouble, Cal. Like you did a good job without him, but there's a reason why he played. He played in the game. So they don't have a lot behind him to rebound. Right. And I think against a soft Carolina team, it didn't factor in.
Yep. I think that's just kind of what it is. And it's what it's going to end up being with Kentucky all season long. So we're going to find ourselves having a lot of these conversations. And at the end of the day, it's just going to, they're a top 15 to 20 team on their best day. And it's going to be kind of a matchup dependent thing on how good they end up looking